Hello guys, this is Video Psych here. I just dropped it. Anyway, this is Video Psych, and today we are going to talk about yourself, basically, and what owning a love doll or something like it, at the very least, might say about you. Now, of course, I'm just going to grab this here. Now, of course, you might know this character from Nier Automata, right? And we all know the reason why this video game is famous, right? And so let's say you get a figure that looks like her because you kind of have let's say, a fondness for this character, right? And of course, what does that say about you? Or let's say you got a love doll from Real Doll or some other site like Synthetics, and even got a customized doll, which would cost a lot of money. So again, what would that say about you? Well, of course, your first thoughts and somebody else's thoughts might be the fact that you might be a bit of a pervert. That's at least what you would at first think, right? And somebody also might think that you see women or people as sex objects. And that's the reason why you're getting a doll in the first place, because that's the way that you think of people. But, of course, there's a little bit more to it than that. And that is, of course, what I will be talking about. Nothing negative, at least not too negative, really. Don't worry. I'm not going to say anything negative because, of course, again, that's not what this channel is about. That is, unless it's actually just me trying to be honest, in not such a mean way. So, back to you buying a love doll. And then, let's say you buy this thing just like mainly for sex, right? You looked up these dolls, they look so realistic and everything, and you think, hey, this looks pretty awesome. I'm gonna buy one of these dolls, and have sex with it, and use it as a masturbation tool. And then you actually get the doll. Let's say, I don't know, 7 months later, 8 months later, 2 months later, depending on what kind of doll you get. And you think, wow, this thing looks so realistic and cool. And, of course, the first thing you do with it, you have sex with it. You try her out. But then after that, you start to do certain things with it. Suddenly, you start seeing yourself watching movies with it. Suddenly, you start putting clothes on it. You start talking to it. You start thinking about her after work, like as if she's actually waiting for you back at home. You start coming back home and acting like she's your wife, and you're just like, hey, honey, I'm home. You start doing stuff like that, and then you start coming up with a name for her. You start coming up with her personality, and even where you met, when you first met, and everything. But of course, when you talk about it with your friends think that you're weird. And let's say in a case, you talk to your friends and you're like, hey, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever met, as a kind of a fantasy. But you see, when you talk like that with your friends, they're gonna think that your buddy is in love with a doll and that he's gone crazy, right? But you see that again, there's a little bit more to it than that. Besides, if somebody was actually in love with their love doll like that, or a doll in particular, they would have to have what is called delusional schizophrenia. Now, schizophrenia is a bit rare. I've met at least one person that had it, but not too many. But not only is schizophrenia rare, delusional schizophrenia would be extremely rare. Like extremely rare. So you very likely don't have delusional schizophrenia. But that of course is on the very high end. And I'm not sure if hardly anybody like that ever exists. So another thing that it might say about you, it would more than likely say about you, that's if you are, let's say, doing what I'm saying that you're doing, you are using your love doll or doll as kind of a fantasy tool versus just a sex tool. That would mean that you are, in a sense, expressing yourself. And of course, you might possibly ask, what do I mean by that? And what I mean by that is just a simple fact that, I mean, for one, you bought a doll, a very well-crafted love doll, which in itself is a work of art, in a sense. I mean, it takes an artist, in a sense, just to make this thing, and they have to do it by hand. I mean, it's quite literally a work of art, and none of them are the same, even if they come from the same mold. Kind of like a samurai sword, and in a sense. Of course, samurai swords are made for different things. Yeah, anyway. So what that might say about you, in a sense, is just the simple fact that you are expressing what you like, what you desire, and what you want, or your wants and desires, is kind of a better way of saying it, actually. And of course, what I mean by that is just a simple fact that, so let's look at this doll again here. So what does this doll here express to you? She is oversexed. She is oversexed. I mean, you could look up her skirt and everything. She is oversexed. She has been oversexed. And of course, I'm just talking about myself here, actually. But through the doll, I'm talking about myself. So this has been oversexed. It has been isolated. It has been through a cold lifestyle. And is very pretty. I mean, in a nutshell, I was talking about myself through the doll. Because when you have somewhat of a likeness for this kind of stuff, I mean, in a sense, this is what this means and says about you. It means that you have been oversexed throughout your lifestyle. You have been through a cold. You've been treated very coldly, like an object. You have been, possibly isolated. And it also might mean that you are seeking for a purpose, just like an android would. An android, as well as a doll, needs a purpose. And it can also mean something about you, about the way you've been treated. Like you could, like this object here. Now, the way that people use something like this, when they get bored of something like this, they toss it away. And that is something that can also be said about the person that buys this type of stuff and is actually really into this kind of stuff. Because in a way, they're actually expressing that through these objects, that this is how they feel. You know what I mean? About themselves, that they have been treated like an object that can just be used and whenever they want and just tossed away, right? And I think that's part of the reason why some of these idolaters, as you might call them, are so into these dolls. because they see themselves in this doll, if that makes any sense. And I'm trying to explain this in the most simplest way possible so that you can understand it. And I know what I'm saying is kind of dark, but the thing is, there is a sad truth to this. And this is part of the reason why love dolls have become so popular, is because not only does this country thrive on material items, America, especially itself, is the most materialistic country in the nation. But you've also got to realize, and you've got to realize this, America is also possibly the most objectified country on the planet as well, which is part of the reason why we are so materialistic, you see. And of course, you might say, what do I mean by that? Well, because they've even done a study, and they've shown the facts that people who have been objectified tend to like objects and material items more than other people that have not been objectified. Now, just think about that for a moment. Isn't this crazy or what? So, again, and another thing that a love doll or something like it might say about you, maybe you just like women too much. And so you just got a love doll and you just want to have sex with it from time to time. That's also basically what it might say about you. You just like women too much, or men, because they do make male love dolls too. But yeah, in general, when it comes to especially an idolater, it is an expression of their desires and what they want, and even of themselves, which is why I think some of them actually have a bit of a connection or role play method with these dolls, like they do. Some of them even go as far as to almost acting like these love dolls are their wives or waifus or whatever. But yeah, I'm just thinking for a moment. I'm sure some of you guys are probably going to think I'm weird, whoever looks into this video, but it sadly is true. And the reason why I talk about this stuff is because some people are too afraid to talk about this kind of stuff, but the sad truth is that it's true. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. And I guess maybe just let me know what you guys think. But also, I would encourage you to watch some of my other videos on the doll topic and some of my other videos that I make. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.